tell us a little bit about sort of the idea of looking to nature and how we can see that in these works that we have right here in front of us?
Really, most of the time when I'm going about doing a piece like this, I'll start off, I'll walk around this place, and I'll take photographs, and maybe make some sketches, and then I take a look at things and I see what I like, and oftentimes I'll end up painting something that I never intended to. Try to give myself permission to be an intuitive person, and sometimes when you're going out looking for something to paint, you can't find it, and that's when I just turn on my intuition and I just go and see what happens. And almost always I find something, even if it's just a little corner, a little nook, I'll find something. But this is often, in fact, lately this is about basically the way I've been painting in oils. And this is all palette knife. I find that the palette knife allows me to move a lot of paint really fast, and I like that. And these little guys here are small little ideas I do around town. They're mostly, this would be the Gamble house, and from there I'll just do an industrial thing, I don't really have a set process. Or this is good old Happy's right down there on the corner. All right, and that's down on Colorado. They're color sketches that I usually do right on the spot, and so some of them aren't so finished, and we decided to put things that are finished and things that are more in the work. I never actually got to finish, and just to show off more of the process. Thick oils again. Really trying to work out some sort of abstract concept. Right here it's more of a stark light, abstract design. And whereas here everything was so involved in this area, it was just a very complex area, and I wanted to kind of show that. So I never know. I never have exactly an idea of what I'm going to do when I go out and do it. We have some architectural things in Pasadena, kind of famous landmarks, if you will. And this is South Pasadena, the good old Rialto. The Castle Green here. All these little watercolor sketches of good old Vroman's there, and right next to Vroman's there's the Playhouse, another playhouse.
Talk about how you use those sketches where you have the multiple sketches on a
Yeah.
page. Like, is that how you're drawing them, or do you collect them?
I go about and I'll make myself some sketches like this. Oftentimes I'll do them from photographs. I might even have the number of the photograph next to it so I can refer back to it. Because oftentimes I can't hang around the place too long when I'm painting. For one reason, a lot of times when I'm doing things, let's say in LA, I got to get out of there at a certain time of day or I'm just locked in traffic, you know. And I'll go around and take photographs, and sometimes I'll make sketches on the spot, sometimes I'll do them from the photos. This one right here is special because in this whole direction where you'll see all of these different watercolors, this is the first one I ever did. I wanted to just try it. And I wanted to try just you can see just a quick ballpoint pen and a little bit of watercolor on the tone paper, and I was hooked. Again, you have the telephone poles, the telephone wires. I'm surprised I don't have any graffiti in there, but I was hooked from the first one. So from there, I would just, you know, paint out on the boulevard early in the morning, just trying to catch the light and the people and the vibe, everything that's going on.
And as you pick the compositions, and say in that one with the bar and
Yeah.
the tattoo, are you editing the composition, or is that just how you found it? Are you mixing trees as you compose?
I may put something in the background to set something off, but in this one I think I just, well, you know, people aren't literally standing there for me, so I have to paint really quick. And sometimes I'll just get a quick gesture and then I can finish the rest out of my head. But yeah, I'm, as far as the composition goes, I'm sort of piecing it together as I go. And I might start with an area here and I might add on a little bit as I go. It depends. I don't always do a whole finished composition before I start. Most of these they literally are my sketch that I just finished. I just finished on the spot. You can see the pen and ink drawing in here really quick, and I'm just highlighting and moving on. They're fast, and I find this to be really, really fast and fun. So this is just a good old back alley. One of my favorite things to paint. I'm always having some sort of there's always crows and doves, or pigeons. Crows and pigeons everywhere, I don't know why. The dumbest and the stupidest birds. Okay, so, yeah, and then we were talking about this one. This is a painting I wanted to do. I never intended to sell or anything, and I just wanted to do it, and I don't know why. It's just stuff I see in back alleys, you know, power plants and things like that. You know, it's kind of aggressive because you don't want to get near that. And you don't want to get near these gypsum weed either because that kills you. You don't want to eat that. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with being in the city. But you can see this is just the raw sketch right there. That oftentimes I'll do this kind of thing and it turns into this, which turns into something else. And that's the way it goes.
And so in that one, like where you've layered I'm seeing the same lines come across, like the slope of the bridge or the slope of the hills. Are those things you're thinking about together? I love the way they echo on that sheet.
Yeah. You know, I have no idea. That was just when I think I was just in the zone on that one.
It's beautiful.
I really love this. I think I would still like to do a nice big horizontal piece of that bridge. It's on there on Broadway. Yeah, city, urban motifs, people at gas stations, just people walking around in shopping malls. I call this one Barricade. I never did paint this one, but I think I want to. These are kind of clouds in the reflection of the light the reflection of the windows there. And just, you know, we have to put up barricades so people don't run their cars into stuff, you know? It's a weird time we live in.
Rob, I have a question that's come through from the people that are
Sure.
watching. And someone has asked, are these on watercolor paper? The paper looks gray. What are your choices for these?
No, they're not on watercolor paper. It's on a thicker toned paper. It's made by Canson, but it's a thicker paper, and you can do water. I beat them up. You can paint oils on these paper. This paper is very durable. So yeah, works for everything.
And I think as we come around and look at the next one, this next question really works.
My favorite palette is, most of you know it already, I use 2 yellows, 2 reds, and 2 blues, and that's it. Oh yeah, and white. Cad yellow, and lemon yellow, ultramarine blue, Prussian blue, and then magenta and cad red. And so I have two of each primary, and that's it. And you can get almost any color you want out of that. All right, so here's some smaller guys. This is the 6th Street Bridge. They've redone it now, but that was it before they redone it. I'm down in the canal painting all this. My daughter's right beside me when I'm painting that. We had a good old time. That was a good memory.
I like that very much. As you were telling us about the works as we were hanging them, you kept talking about how important, who was with you and where it was, and you became really attached to that.
I know, it's hard. It's hard to let them go.
I loved that part of the story, and that it's imbued for you, that the product in the painting is linked with that memory. That's a nice
it's
trace.
burned, it's etched in our memories forever. I can remember doing this painting too. I remember I did this as a demonstration for one of my classes, and I felt like I just nailed what I was trying to say, which is you can use all kinds of colors in a warm painting and still get a warm painting. Some of these paintings mean a lot because I was working towards something and I don't know what it was. I was trying to work this thing out, and when I finally did it, I did it in that painting, and you just go home on the biggest high. I mean, you don't even, you might have been working for weeks and weeks trying to get that.
The question that's come through, students ask this all the time, how do you know when you got it? How do you know when it's clicked?
Well, you're searching. Like I say, you might not exactly know what it is you're trying to go for this thing. You can't articulate it because I'd be a writer if I could articulate it. I'm trying to articulate it in paint, and so I maybe it's a certain grittiness of this abstraction here mixed with this sort of semi-realism here, and I'm trying to juxtapose the two and mix them up, and I finally got it the way I want it, and more worked out, more thought out compositions. One horizontal, one vertical. And these were done on the spot. And they're pen and ink and highlighted in watercolor, and you'll see me use gouache in there too. Gouache is an opaque watercolor. And we thought we'd include this one because this really kind of shows my process. That's really maybe halfway through a painting. So I kind of like leaving some of them unfinished. Really great idea. And then so this one would be more finished. This is definitely ready to be framed like those. And much more thought out. That's when I'll sit there and really work it out. This is maybe 20 minutes in, and this is about an hour and a half in. And then this is in, I guess this would be West Pasadena Hills, looking east, late in the day, from the Art Center campus, from Art Center Hillside campus, looking over. And you can see, on a clear day, you can see Mount San Jacinto, with 90 miles away from there. There's the good old Huntington Library gardens.
As we come here to this beautiful series of the large paintings, a question we've had from people is, do you title your works? And if so, why or why not?
Yeah, they all have titles. Yeah. I don't exactly know what they are right now. I could probably look them up.
But you don't seem to really think about them as titles. They are subjects and repeated ideas as opposed to a particular.
Yeah, I put titles on them mostly to just identify them. But I don't really. Occasionally a title will come to mind, and I think that's fitting. But most of the time I don't. This was interesting because there's this new park called the Desiderio Park under the bridge now, and it opens up a whole new view of the bridge where I never saw before. And everybody knows I've been painting that bridge for long, long time. So, in fact, tomorrow I have the first day of one of my new plein air class on Sundays, and so this is where we're going to be painting, and yeah, and this is definitely in keeping with what I've been doing lately. These are two different versions of this very, very similar angles of the same motif, much more loose, and these are both on the spot. So I literally do plein air on the spot that big. Now, it's hectic. It's very hectic doing the painting that big. Plein air. None of these are studio paintings. Yeah, none of these are all on the spot. This is down in Eaton Canyon when we had a good flow of water down there. Anyway, and you'll see a lot of this abstraction keeps creeping back into my work, and I think that's where I'm going with it, even more loose and even more abstract. Just pushing texture and color and value. And same here. Let's see. These are all down in Eaton Canyon. It's one of my favorite places to paint. Haven't been able to paint there lately because it's hard to get in. You have to make reservations. So anyway, yeah. Same kind of motif again, much thicker paint.
Someone asked what size these canvases are and how you choose the size of your canvas.
Well, this is 24 by 24, that's 24 by 30. So it's a pretty big, bulky thing to carry around. And I have to hike down deep into a canyon. So all I have is a backpack, and I literally hold the canvas, and when it's wet, hiking that thing out isn't easy. Honestly, a lot of times I just go out and I think I want to do me a big old painting today. And my car is an art studio. If you ever look in my backseat, it's full of big, ginormous canvases ready to go. I don't always know. Sometimes I have a set idea. I'm going to do a 24-30 today. Sometimes I just don't know. Sometimes I'll show you.
And someone asked about whether these are in oil. So just talk about
these are all oils. Yes, those are oils, and they're palette knife mostly. So yeah, they're both definitely palette knife. But here's like my sketchbook, and you'll see. So I'll go out and I'll take photographs, and then I'll come home, or sometimes on the spot if it's not 110 degrees or something. But and I'll do a little composition like this, and then, or sometimes they even start off like these little guys. I'll work them off. See, this is called a thumbnail because it's about as big as my thumbnail, right? That's where the word thumbnail comes from, by the way, if you guys didn't know. They do it all the time in the computers, but it actually comes from old masters used to make their little compositions like this. That's the way I was trained. So yeah, if I like where this is going, you can see that this is more of a horizontal, rectangle. I'll go with something like that. But occasionally, I like to work in a square once in a while. I mean, so you can see I get very abstract with these. Really working on my darks and lights. And see, almost totally abstract. And then, something like that might turn into something like that. I have lots and lots of there. Lots and lots of these compositions might turn into, something like that. Or that's a very strange. If you're familiar with the bridge, that's a very hard place to get to. It's on the north side of the bridge, so you can see. Now, oftentimes I do these in markers. These are all done in markers. Sometimes I do them with a brush. Yeah, just tons and tons and tons of them. Yeah, so these little things. So sometimes I'm actually pretty intricate with them, I guess. So, yeah. And then here's a piece I did at the Huntington Library, and I'm really happy with that piece. I just like how striking the yellow is. I think it's called a Palo Verde tree, and I have these. I have these landscape architects who take my class, so they let me know about all these things. It's great. I have all these wonderful naturalists who take my class, who fill me in on all these. But anyway, yeah, I mean, this one's on my webpage too, you can see it, but that's one of my favorites.
And while you're here talking about your classes, I know you have an upcoming workshop in style, and
Yeah.
that's here at Creative Arts Group.
Yeah.
How do you train up style? What do you think we'll be talking about in that class?
I think what we'll do is we'll look at different movements. Like, let's say the Mannerist movement, which follows the High Renaissance. We'll talk about how they distorted figures and really pushed, gesture and strange color, and why. I mean, we're talking way before modernism. They were doing what modern painters were trying to do, so they become heroes of the modern movement. And but we go through, like, well, of course, Matisse, because Matisse is really putting one of these first artists that are putting style on a high level, not subservient to technique, but style being the artist's voice.
Good. And then you're helping your students then find their own style and.
Sure, we'll talk about line, rhythm, tensions and compressions. We'll talk about value and shape and how we push these things and have them possibly, override the reality of what you're actually looking at. Because everybody does that differently. So even though we all have these great things in mind, everybody does that differently. So I thought we'd end on this one. And this is a little piece I did at the Huntington Library down in the Desert Gardens, and it's this. We were just talking about Africa too. It's like, I think it's an African aloe, but huge and majestic and amazing. And here if you'll notice, I have this light object up against a darker background, balancing out by a darker object up against a lighter background. And anyway, I just really like that painting. And I might even have some sketches. And I really love the way Marsha framed this one. I mean, if I had my druthers, we could all have them in Marsha's frames. They're wonderful.